Let's stop that. A little Wednesday boogie for you. This is about toxic people. Today I'm going to explain how you can recognise toxic people, some of the traits they have, some of the things they do, and why you need to cut these people out of your life. Before we start, if you would like to click the subscribe button and put the notification bell on so that you get notified every time I post a new video, that would be really cool. Other than that, let's get going. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to recognise toxic people in your life and you're going to know why you need to cut them out. I'm going to explain why these people are so bad for your mental health and sometimes your physical health. This is information you need. I think it's pretty important. So first, why you need to cut these people out of your life. Toxic people. Where to start? Toxic people are one of a kind. They are vindictive, they are narcissists, and they're just bad for you. Toxic relationships really hinder your self-development as a person, personal development. They just stop you from growing, and I don't think that's good because, as I stated in all of my videos before, we all need to grow as people to enjoy our lives to the fullest. These relationships make you doubt yourself, they make you have to question yourself, they even make you feel like you might have to defend some of your decisions or your opinions, which ain't good. They can make you feel angry, they can make you feel resentful, they can make you just feel all around blah. And they can make you ashamed of yourself, which isn't good. It's just not. You might feel emotionally exhausted after being with these types of people, because it is a toll on the emotional brain of yourself. And also, sometimes toxicity can be contagious, which means that you might actually take on some of these characteristics and use them in your life, or yeah, it's a butterfly effect essentially, and no one wants that because I don't want to deal with toxic people and I don't want people to deal with me being toxic either because that's not fair on them. For instance, if you are around a toxic person and they are being toxic to you, undermining your decisions, or maybe it's a toxic boss and they've been rude to you at work or just make you feel very small and questioning yourself, you might then get a little bit angry and be like, why am I feeling like this? And then you might take that anger out on other people, and that's not good. You don't want to be doing that at work or any relationship really. On top of that, if you get angry at people at work, they might take that anger home from you, and then, as I said, butterfly effect. It's like a domino effect. Dominoes. They'll take that home and then be angry at home, and that's just not nice for anyone. Let's make everyone happy. So I've touched briefly on why these people are bad for you. I think it's pretty obvious, to be honest. So I'm going to go on to how to recognise these toxic people. A lot of people talk to me and they're like, oh, they're toxic. Are they toxic, or are they just having a bad day or in a bad place mentally, which is obviously very key at the moment. So don't just assume because someone's being rude that they are a toxic person. They might just be going through a phase. But there are some ways to actually recognise toxic people who are like genuinely toxic. Those people you should cut out of your life because they are not good for anyone. I'll go through those now. I really want coffee first. 1 minute. It's also important to clarify that even though a person might be toxic towards you, they might not necessarily be toxic for someone else. Anyway, let's get into it. Number one, they disrespect your boundaries. Setting boundaries for yourself is something you need to do, and it will be a whole nother video, but you need to set boundaries for yourself in terms of saying no. If these people disrespect your boundaries, that is a way of recognising toxic person. What I mean by this is toxic people don't know how to quit. You will say,
actually I didn't like your behaviour at that point,
or
I really didn't like when you did this,
and they will disregard that and continue doing what they want, or they will defend it and be like,
actually no, I thought I was really like la la la.
Toxic people react they don't listen. A reaction is basically saying,
no, I didn't do that.
What a normal person, or not normal, but what a person should say is,
oh, I'm really sorry that I did that. I didn't realise that made you feel that way. I won't do that in future.
and that's what a nice person would do. Number 2, they are manipulative. I've come to terms with this year. I cut someone out this year. It was really hard for me because we've been friends for a long time, but they were extremely manipulative. I always knew it. They were manipulative with other people, and they even admitted they were manipulative. They took pride in it. A way a person can be manipulative. They can be selfish, coercive, or as I said, they might use little methods like gaslighting. For a toxic person, it's always about taking control of the situation. They manipulate it. So if people are manipulating you or making you feel guilty, they're probably toxic. Number 3. Ooh, got a hair. They lie. I'm not talking white lies. I mean, I don't know why, but sometimes I lie and I really it's just random. I'm like, why did I lie about that? You know what I mean? I think everyone does it, or as far as I'm aware, everyone does. So there's a difference between casual exaggeration and a blatant lie. Toxic people are normally quite dishonest people. They don't admit when they're wrong, they don't admit when they've done something, or they'll lie about it to make themselves look better. Whether they're lying to mask their own low self-esteem, or whether they're lying to make themselves look better, they're lying still, and that is quite toxic. And if it's continuous deceit, I think that is quite bad because it ruins trust between you in a relationship and it just doesn't feel good. Number 4, they always have to be right. Now, this is a hard one for me because I don't always have to be right. When I'm not right, I will just be quiet because I'm an Aries, okay? I always have to be right. But it doesn't mean I'm toxic. I like things the way I like things. Toxic people, if they're toxic and they always have to be right, there's no point in arguing with them. They won't take no for an answer. They will constantly keep going back and back and back. At least I just be like, okay, cool, that's your opinion, this is my opinion, fine. Toxic person will be like, do you know what I mean? And also, they'll blame other people and tell lies before they actually admit that they're wrong. Rarely ever does a toxic person admit that they're wrong. They just think they're right constantly, and that's not the case with the world because there's always going to be someone who's right and someone who's wrong, and there's always a grey area in the middle. So, yeah. Number 5. They're always the victim. They blame others for their problems when actually they put themselves in the problems in the first place, and they're incapable of taking any responsibility, whether it's personal or wherever, for their own mistakes. They tend to thrive on attention and sympathy and just want all this love, which is fine. You can want love, especially when it's your own mistakes and then you make people feel guilty for what you've done. That just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. I don't know why people do it, and it's not great. I don't like it, so that's where you cut them out. You are cut. What's that from? Pitch Perfect. Number 6. They are very judgmental. I like to think I'm not a very judgmental person. I'm not. I don't think I am. In fact, I've been told by multiple friends that I'm not a judgmental person. Toxic people tend to gossip, criticise and judge a lot of the things you do. Toxic people are judgmental and they feed on other people's flaws to make themselves feel better about their own. That is it. You shouldn't be feeding on other people's flaws. That is not very nice, actually. Number 7. They're all take and no give. I had this a lot of friends. When you pick up the phone and you talk to them, they are constantly like, oh my god, this happened in my life, oh my god, this happened in my life, oh my god, this happened, la la la, blah 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 blah. They never ask about you. And don't get me wrong, if it's like a big situation and you need to talk about it, talk about it. But then at the end of the conversation, say, oh, what's going on in your life? I'm sorry I've been talking about myself this whole time, I just needed to get it out, but what's been going on in your life? Toxic people don't tend to do that. They just constantly talk about their situations, or the worst, they will interrupt you when you're talking about yours and say, oh, actually, something like that happened recently for me, and then they'll go on and take away the whole conversation for themselves, and by the end of it you feel like you know about all of their lives, but you didn't really get to vent on your own, which isn't great. Not just in conversations though. Toxic relationship isn't ever equal. You will always find yourself giving more attention, giving large amounts of your time, maybe even giving material possessions, and you'll probably never get anything in return. Toxic people tend to be quite self-absorbed in their own world, but they'll expect you to do favours for them at the drop of a hat. They'll expect you to always be there, and if you're not there, they might get angry. If they do that, they're probably toxic. So if any of those 7 sound familiar, you're probably dealing with a toxic person. Okay, as I stated earlier, if it's one of those things and this person's having a bad time at the moment because it is lockdown and it is mentally draining and horrible at the moment, then please don't just cut them out of your life. Ask them if they're doing okay and if they need any help. Don't just cut them out of your life, because that's not fair. But if they've been in your life for a while and they've been displaying 1 or more, I would say 2 or more, let's not be brutally honest, 2 or more, maybe all of them, probably time to get rid, because it's not going to do you any favours and you're just going to feel horrible around them, low energy, make you feel, you know that feeling when you feel like dirty after you've been with someone, like spending like your energy with them. I know that sounds really holistic, but I do get that sometimes, and I got it for quite a while with a few people, and now I've cut them out. I feel clean as a whistle. That is the end of my video on toxic people. I am going to do a video next week on how to cut these people out of your life. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you next week for another vlog.